Just how big a rival is Tennessee?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. We want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. We love you very much. Jimmy, yesterday I did the crossover episode with Eric Kane of Locked On Vols. And Eric's a good dude. I like him. He is a super guy. He's very knowledgeable, loves him some Vols like we love us some Bama. I had some people watch it. It was funny. I should read the comments. One guy said, "What, is Jimmy Stein off the show?" And then somebody else said, "We can only hope." And, and then somebody else said, "What are you talking about? We have to have Jimmy. Luke just provides a joke every now and again." It's like, wow, we got some of the best fans.
We do. They love us. They love us.
So anyway, I had some folks tell me, or say in the comments, they thought I was too nice to him, essentially. Like, not nice to him necessarily, like nice to Tennessee. And the reason being that it was funny. He opened the show. I don't know if you've seen it, but he opened the show saying, "Now, Luke, you said last year when we did this that I think this rivalry is the biggest rivalry no matter what anybody says." I said, "Eric, you have me confused because I personally believe it is Alabama-Auburn and then a gigantic space and then anything else. But I do consider Tennessee the second biggest rival. And I really consider them the first biggest rival because I don't even consider Alabama and Auburn a rivalry. It is its own thing. It is something completely different because I grew up too close to Auburn for it to be anything different." But, there are people who grew up closer to Huntsville, mostly, I would say. There are some folks who are old enough to have gone through the Bear times that do believe Tennessee is the biggest of the rivals for Alabama. Again, we've played them before, and I think history and stats would show Tennessee is the better overall than Auburn throughout college football history. That's not me, and I don't want to take anything away from the third Saturday in October because it is like that is the universal symbol for midway point of the season, right? I mean, that's what Oklahoma, Texas, and then Alabama, Tennessee. That's how okay, we've kind of hit the middle.
Yeah, and once it passes, it's like, okay, now it's the stretch drive to determine what we're going to remember the season for. I mean, obviously at Alabama, it's about do you make the postseason or not? I mean, but it is like a seminal weekend in all of college football. It's such a big rivalry. Now, I agree with you completely, by the way. Auburn is at the top, and then there's a big fall, and then there's Tennessee, and then after Tennessee, it could get real argumentative, I suppose, LSU, but I don't know. I just know that Auburn's at the top and Tennessee would be next. I agree with you totally that some Alabama fans put Tennessee number one, and I believe that's generational, and it's also geography. I'm with you. I think older people that are like more of the Bryant era that are also from North Alabama, because you got to remember during the Bryant era, I think Bryant, ended. It didn't end. But Bryant had like a 10 or 11 game win streak against Auburn, at one point through the 70s and 80s. And I think that might have affected some people in the Bryant. So if you're from the Bryant era and you're from North Alabama, the northern part of the state, you might consider Tennessee Alabama's biggest rival. And that's okay. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But no, I'm with Luke. I think it's Auburn. And, but the third Saturday, how cool this is, Luke. I think if you ask a big college football fan in Pennsylvania, or Montana or New Mexico, if you ask them, what does the third Saturday in October mean? I think most of them will tell you that means Alabama's playing Tennessee. And that's super cool. That's super cool that there's a spot on the calendar sort of reserved for this with the cool name. People know the Red River Rivalry or the Shootout or the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. They know what all that means. They also know what the third Saturday in October means. And that's super cool. I hope it never changes. I hope it's locked into that date forever.
Well, Yeah, and look, I know it has moved around a little bit, but it's still third Saturday in October. That's what it means. And I think you're right with the caveat that you do have to be a college football fan. I mean, you clearly somebody else may be. What is that? Winter solstice? I don't know. And it's
like
also
October
not
21st.
something. It's not something like one of these dumb trophies these Big Ten teams play with, like Minnesota and Iowa play for the big wooden phallic symbol or whatever it is. I mean,
Goodness gracious.
I don't know why.
I thought you were going to say great gold potato.
For Rugiet ready. But no. I don't know why that.
Straight for the R rating.
So there are some kids in the car going, Daddy, what's a phallic? Okay, never mind. But so yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean I think it is generational. I think it is geographical, and I think it is just your proximity to a certain fan base. For instance, there is a guy in Alexander City who is a police officer. I mean, I won't say he's not listening to the program or anything, but his nickname is Hamma, like Hamma. He is a huge human being. You would not want to, if you saw him coming towards you, you would try to think quickly, am I committing a crime right now, and would stop it because you don't want anything to do with that coming towards you. But he's a huge Georgia fan. And he's on Facebook a lot. And so he and I are on Facebook. So I see a lot of his posts about Georgia, and he's made a lot of posts about this last Auburn game. And I was thinking, man, if we weren't beating Georgia so much, but I'm glad he's doing it to Auburn. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's if Georgia were beating us more, we're seeing that, I'd be like, God, this sucks. I'm going to have to mute him. I'm going to have to. But because we're beating them, I'm sort of like, I'm not too worried about it. Like, even if Georgia beat us once, they beat us once in that national championship game, and they love to hang their hats on it. And I'm like, okay. I mean, you got us that time. You got us. I mean, we had some key injuries in that game, and here we go. You won. Congrats. I mean, take your trophy and move on. But pretty much we've been dominating. So and the thing with Tennessee, I think we've also been numbed to the Tennessee rivalry because Nick Saban did win 15 in a row. And, it's hard to, it's hard to sit here and say, I care about that game as much because, see, if we won 15 in a row against Auburn, I can tell you right now, all I would think about is don't lose that next one. I want 16 in a row. And then when we won 16, I'd be like, don't lose that next one. I want 17. That's the difference to me. Like 15 in a row made me almost sympathize with Tennessee, even though I'd never wanted to lose to them. Don't get me wrong. 15 in a row to beating Auburn is not enough.
I think myself, even though this is our second biggest rival, per my own opinion, I don't look at this weekend, Luke, like Alabama's playing Tennessee. To me, this weekend is dominated by Alabama's playing its fourth consecutive highly ranked opponent. I mean, that's a bigger story to me than you're actually lining up with the Orange Vols from Knoxville. To me, it's the fourth straight ranked opponent and how incredibly difficult it is in 2025 for anyone. I mean, Ohio State's number one. What would they look like if they played four straight ranked opponents? We won't know because they don't. I mean, but I think it's incredibly difficult what Alabama's being asked to do here. And let's see if the kids can get up one more time.
Well, it's funny you bring up the Ohio State thing because this tweet is out there, and I talked about it a little bit on the podcast yesterday that I did solo, or maybe that was 2 days ago I did solo. Regardless, it was something like Ohio State and Oregon and Indiana, they have no more ranked teams left. They have no more ranked teams left on their schedule. Alabama and Ole Miss and all these other teams, I mean, I'm going to find it here in a second and go through it, but it's really, really just crazy that people want to. And again, there'll be somebody out there who goes, well, these rankings are subjective and they just blah, blah, blah. I mean, watch the games.
Really. They're not really. I don't think Alabama's played an overrated team in this stretch of games. And by the way, there's two more ranked teams after Tennessee. We'll be playing, I assure you, LSU and Oklahoma will both be ranked when Alabama welcomes them to Tuscaloosa. But big game Saturday, just simply fourth-ranked opponent in a row, and each opponent is bringing something a little different to the table. What Tennessee brings is the best offense in the SEC if you measure it by points and yards. I'm not really sure how to measure an offense other than points and yards. I'm suppose some nerd, analytics guy will tell me, no, look at this long list of analytics that proves that Mississippi State's the best offense if you dive deep enough or something like that. I'm going by points and yards. Points and yards. Tennessee's the best offense in this league, but defensively, they're not as good overall. What's weird about their defense, though, Luke, is this is just strange. Defensively, their statistics are pretty bad. But one thing that's pretty good about their defense is the pass rush. They have a good pass rush. You would think that would result in a good defense, but frankly, their defense just isn't that great. But the pass rush is good. And this will be a nice building block for Alabama because you struggled with the Missouri pass rush. Now let's block a probably even better group of pass rushers from Knoxville.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are pretty good, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Look, their secondary is susceptible. I mean,
yeah.
Georgia put up 44 on them. I know it went to OT and all that stuff, but
they did.
Georgia still put up 44. Georgia only put up 21 at home against Bama and only 20 on the road against Auburn, and essentially got all those points in the second half because the field goal came, with just minimal time left on the clock. But, we're going to talk about those advantages a little bit more here in this second segment. Right now, though, I want to tell you about the Mazda Standard. Mazda is just awesome. You know it is. I know it is. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same attention to detail, how we craft every model. Like our players over here at Bama, Mazda sweats every detail. Because when you make every moment count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved, because that's what you're supposed to do. Then there's Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with brand new Peloton cross-training tread powered by Peloton IQ. It's the most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move. Whether you're into running, lifting, cross-training with your favorite instructors, whatever it is, Peloton's got you covered. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for the breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. Look, the swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the tread to strength training without missing a beat. So please let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton cross-training tread today at onepeloton.com. And one is spelled out in that instance, onepeloton.com.
Peloton's coming at a good time for me. I really need to do something. I'm reminding myself of a line from Family Guy when they were all at a public pool, and the son Chris, who's a little portly, is he doesn't want to take his shirt off and get in the pool because he's embarrassed about his size, which would probably be about the same I would feel right now. And so he just kind of sat on the diving board, and then the security or whoever at the lifeguard or whatever went up to his dad, Peter, and said, "Sir, you can't park your van on the diving board."
That's a good line.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling. So I'm glad that Peloton is coming along at this time of my life.
Jimmy, there's just more of you to love, son. Why am I calling you son?
Not for the YouTube comments.
You're clearly 3 years older than me. But all right, so let's talk about the advantages some here. One thing Eric Kane and I did discuss was the fact that, I mean, in my opinion, tell me if I'm wrong, I think Alabama and Tennessee have the best two quarterbacks in the league. Now, if you want to say they may not be the best pro prospects, which I'll talk about that in a second, okay, maybe, because Ty Simpson's probably up there now. Or if you want to say they don't have the same name recognition as a Lagway or a Nussmeier, whatever, fine. They're gonna, because they lead the league in yardage passed.
Yep.
And they're separated by 2 yards. Did you know that?
I knew there were 1 and 2. I didn't know it was that close. That's amazing. I think Ty's quarterback rating might be a little bit higher, if that means anything.
It is. His completion rate is better. He's got more touchdowns. He's got fewer interceptions. But again, I think that Aguilar has been more prone to hit the deep ball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and here's the other thing that's interesting, and you can talk about these two, I think, in a symbiotic relationship, that we tried to figure out yesterday, okay, who's got the best wide receiver room? Because Tennessee's got 3 guys that all have better stats than our number 1 guy receiving.
Yeah.
But we have more guys overall who can make you pay. Now, I'm not saying Tennessee doesn't have
is better. I think Alabama's depth. So Alabama's
100%.
depth is better, but the top of their rotation matches up with Alabama. Chris Brazzell is freaking big time.
Matthews is big time.
I will be stunned. This is how good Chris Brazzell is. I'll be stunned if he doesn't make at least one really big play in the game. I mean, I'll just be stunned if it doesn't happen. I mean, that's how good he's sort of just a padlock bet to make a big play. He's also 6'5". Hey, good question this game. And it was asked at the Kane Womack press conference, which is why I brought it up. He was asked, Chase Goodbird asked a question. So shout out to Chase for asking such a good question in the press conference. My buddy Chase. Chase asked him, hey, since you have a 6'5" corner and Dijon Lee is so unique, does your defense allow for shadowing where you're just going to say, hey, we're putting Dijon Lee on Chris Brazzell, who's 6'5"? We can actually match up with this guy. So Dijon's just going to shadow him. Or does your system not allow for that because you play boundary and field and they're just in boundary and field no matter what? And Kane had a really interesting answer. He said, no. Our defense allows for shadowing and we might do that. He's like, the bigger thing is you only shadow when you've decided to play a man, you're in cover 0 or cover 1. So you're playing man coverage. Then maybe you might consider shadowing, and we might do that when that's the call. He's like, but when you play a team like Tennessee, you're not always in cover 0 or cover 1 because they also play fast. They play fast. And he said, when they play fast, you can't shadow. You got to get on your side or your boundary or field. You can't track players when they're going fast. So in other words, I guess what we should say is we probably won't see Dijon Lee shadowing Brazzell, even though that sounds like a good matchup. We probably won't see it a lot, but it could happen some, which is interesting. Kane also brought up the point. He's like, it's not like we have a 6'5" corner and all the other guys are 5'9". It's like Zabian's actually 6'2", which is tall and long for a cornerback. So we're comfortable with any cornerback matchup we get in the game.
Yeah, we like long cornerbacks. I mean, and defensive backs. That's been sort of proven in what we recruit.
Yep.
But I'll ask the question again. So who has the advantage? I mean, I'm going to say Bama. Obviously, this is locked on Bama, but I mean, I'm going to say Bama, but I'm going to say this. I think that you could convince me the other way. The one thing that's different is, and this is what I brought up to Eric, that you guys, I mean, I got to at least deduct something because y'all played UAB, who is just atrocious, and they've given up, and they fired the coach already.
UAB needs 7 promotions to suck.
Oh,
you know what I mean? They're that bad.
Hey,
they're really bad.
Move up the ladder to sucking.
Trent Dilfer drove that program directly into a ditch, and it's going to take a heck of a construction project to pull them out of the ditch. I don't know who they're going to hire, but he's got a rebuilding thing. At Tennessee, quickly on offense, I would say this: I'll take Ty over Aguilar, but it's close. I'll take Alabama's receivers over Tennessee's, but it's real close. Offensive line and running backs, I might go Tennessee. I mean,
I don't think there's any question,
especially
without Jam.
Yeah, especially without Jam, but even with Jam. And by that, we're like, no, Jam's great. He's playing great. I agree. But the production has to speak for itself. Tennessee's been a lot more productive. Alabama's played a tougher schedule. Alabama's played it. That's true. Tennessee did especially get the UAB off week. But I give Tennessee, also pretty good at tight end with a former Bama tight end, Miles Kitselman, who ended up really developing.
I'm amazed how good he is. He's good.
I'm surprised that he's this good, but I loved him when Alabama signed him. Alabama found him because they wanted to sign Malik Benson, and then the coach goes and watches Malik Benson. I think it was, was it Wiggins? He went and saw Malik Benson at junior college practice and saw Kitselman at tight end and went, who the heck is this guy? So shout out to Wiggins for finding him. But the depth chart was just too much for Miles at Alabama, and he moved on to a place where he thought he could play, and it did. Hey, that's a transfer portal thing that worked out for the kid. For Alabama's sake, I wish he'd stuck around. He'd be some nice depth. But hey, Alabama's good at tight end. Alabama's fine at tight end. They do it a little bit more by committee with Josh Cuevas as the H, and really now Danny Lewis as the Y. But you see some of Caleb Edwards in there. Jay Lindsey was in on the famous Caden Proctor Wildcat Proctor play. Jay Lindsey was in as an extra tight end on that snap. So Alabama's sort of doing it by committee.
Yeah. And then overall, I'd say defensively, I feel like it's kind of a wash. I'm beginning to think that Tennessee's defensive line and pass rush is better.
Yeah.
Eric Kane basically said their linebackers are giving them problems. And so with Justin Jefferson, Deontay Lawson, I definitely am plus on Alabama there. And I'm going to give Alabama the nod on defensive backs. I mean, I know they've got McCoy, who is a high draft pick potentially, but he's been banged up. And then
I'm not even sure he's playing. I need to look into that.
And then you look at Alabama, and I love the Tide even more with Dejon Lee stock going up and some other guys who will not be named moving down a little bit because Dejon Lee's playing so much better. So and then special teams. I mean, honestly, all I know for sure, the one constant that was in life forever was that Tennessee was always going to have a good kicker. I don't know anything about their kicker. I'm going to assume he's good. They used to always have like the best kicker.
And they used to all be related. I think they had like seven
Oh,
brothers
that is true.
at one point.
What were their names?
It was
a Fuss something or Fur something. For not Fernandez, but it was like something like that because they also kicked in the NFL for a while.
Yeah. Several of them went on to play pro football. I think Tennessee might be a little better than Alabama up front. Tennessee's pass rush is better than Alabama's. I mean, the sack numbers speak for themselves. But I think Alabama is so much better on the back end that it overshadows how Tennessee's slight edge up front. So I just take Alabama's defense because their secondary is a lot better than Tennessee's, and ultimately I think it makes a difference. I mean, I'm still a day or two away from picking a score, but it's going to be high scoring, and I'll just go ahead and say right now I'm leaning to 35-28 Alabama.
I mean, we will technically do predictions later, and I will keep this constant barring a catastrophe between now and then.
We'll have a special guest picker this week too, by the way.
Do we? Oh, good.
I think we will.
Announce
the day before, maybe, but once we get it lined up for sure. Yeah, everybody, and we're doing this because ESPN wouldn't have Alabama-based guest pickers for their show. We can do it like on Bama. We'll have Alabama-based guest pickers. I can guarantee you that there won't be a UT guest picker on our show. We're going to have a through and through Bammer as our guest picker on the Friday show.
If we really wanted to tick off the listeners, we'd be like, and our guest picker is. Come on in, Fat Phil Fulmer.
A fifth cousin of the Mannings. That's about all we could get.
That'd be awesome. Good and terrible. Now I want to tell you guys about Wayfair. Love Wayfair. Happy to have them back. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is exciting. But getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. Trust me on that. Maybe your serveware needs a refresh, or maybe the guest room could use some new bedding. Wayfair is everything you need to get your home holiday ready, from Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cooking, cookware, outdoor inflatables, all that stuff. It's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection of every style and every budget. And with free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff, you can get everything you need without the hassle of delivery fees, which are just getting to be out of hand. Get organized, get refreshed, and get ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. That jingle sticks with you, bruh. And now let's talk a little bit about SupplyHouse. Love SupplyHouse. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your new crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today. See parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Look, you need parts fast for a project? Supply House has the next day delivery. You talk about a game changer. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support line. Visit SupplyHouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's SupplyHouse.com. Real people, real service. Jimmy Stein guarantee. Yeah, wait a minute. I didn't even say the prediction I was going to say. I'd already told Eric my prediction, and so it's I said 42-33.
42-33 is what you told Eric?
That's what Eric I told him.
Tennessee to win, right?
No.
Eric picked Alabama to win.
Yes. What's funny is a lot of people
surprised me because Eric, I mean, I like Eric a lot. I'll be on squad show. Well, y'all won't see it till Thursday, but we're going to record the SEC squad show tonight. I'm on, and Eric's on most weeks. And so I got to know Eric, through the squad show because we talk before we go on the air and afterwards and stuff. But I'm surprised because Eric, to his credit, by the way, I think he's really into the Vols as much as any of the locked-on guys are into the. So I'm surprised that he picked Alabama, although Alabama is favored by 7, 8, 8.5 points for a reason.
Well, what's funny too is he said, as I see right here, Alabama's 9.5 point favorite. I said, I think it's 8.5 and it's trending to 8. He said, nope, I'm looking at it right now. And I said, okay. I was like, I tell you what, you let me take Tennessee plus 8.5 plus 9.5, and then I'll take Alabama minus 8, and I'll just middle this puppy. How about that? Okay. One thing I did want to throw out there, a huge recruiting weekend coming up. I mean, there's going to be a lot of dudes in town.
Yep.
Thank you.
Elijah Haven's coming.
That's a big deal.
Number 1, 2027. For those that don't know, Elijah Haven from Baton Rouge. He is the number 1 quarterback prospect in the nation in the 2027 class. That's the Gunner Rivers Trent Seaborn group.
I just saw where somebody on Rival said they think he's trending to Florida.
Yeah.
And I also saw today, by the way, apropos of nothing, Shadarius Tootle went to the Auburn game this weekend against Georgia and flipped back. He was at Auburn, committed to Georgia. Now he's recommitted to Auburn. And I was like, that didn't make any sense at all after seeing that and seeing all the hubbub that's going on in Auburn. And then I find out apparently Auburn's going to offer his JUCO brother who is unranked. And I was like, okay, now that makes some sense. But
the JUCO brother that's unranked. I thought you were about to say he's got a younger brother that's a 2028 quarterback in Mobile, Shamar Tootle, who's pretty good. He's pretty good. Now, long way to go, but pretty good. That is super interesting. But Elijah Haven, number 1 quarterback in the 27 class, headlines the group of visitors. Obviously, that's an unofficial visit for him. A Florida lean. But, I mean, is this going to be a situation where Elijah Haven maybe, let's just say hypothetically, commits to Florida, and then 3 days later, Billy Napier's fired, and then he announces he's now uncommitted? I mean, is that what's going to happen? So I don't know. If I'm Elijah, I would urge Team Haven to maybe sit and wait this out a little bit.
Just hang on a minute
before you commit to Florida. I would sit and wait. Maybe he just loves. Hey, if the kid is like, you know what, I like Florida. I like everything about it. I don't care who the coach is. I want to play at Florida. Okay, that's fine.
More power to you, son.
Here's a quarterback name. First time for people hearing this name. So I like being the first to say it because it's interesting. That 27 quarterback class is just loaded, particularly in state. I think in state, it's the all-time deepest group of quarterbacks in the history of the state of Alabama. That's how good it is. And the one no one's talking about at all that may prove to be the second or third best. I'm not going to say he's going to be better than Gunner Rivers, who I think has a chance to be the number 1 quarterback in the class in the country eventually. But Christian Seeger at Daphne. Really good player. Really good player. Similar hearing, not my comp, hearing from someone close to the situation, a good comp is AJ McCarron there. Things worked out pretty good for that. And I also think AJ actually would have been a good fit with what DeBoer does. Anyway, just an interesting name. Christian Seeger from Daphne. Tall, big arm, pocket passer. Daphne's much better this year than anticipated. Why? Seeger's one of these guys that lifts the whole team. Everybody that plays against him raves.
All right, and the final thing I wanted to get to today was Mel Kiper came out with like his first position rankings, and is also not his draft board. I guess it is his draft board. It's not where he predicts these guys will be drafted because
it's not a mock draft. It's just
not a mock draft. It is like
ranking of the best players.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Ty Simpson goes from somebody nobody's ever heard of except being the guy that couldn't beat out Jalen Milroe to being Mel Kiper's number 3 quarterback in this class, number 16 overall best player in the class with a bullet. He's got him ranked ahead of Nussmeier and Carson Beck and John Mateer and Lenoris Sellers. He's got Ty Simpson as the number 1 quarterback in the SEC, Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza ahead of him.
That's interesting because those two played each other last weekend, so that was a good look for those of y'all who are really interested in quarterback.
Yeah, and Moore looked terrible.
I didn't think Dante Moore was good at all. I'm not quite as high on Mendoza as all these people that are clamoring to get in line for him, but I'm also not finished watching him, if that makes sense. I want to see more. I'm not, but it's amazing what Ty's done. A lot of Alabama guys in these rankings. He had LT Overton higher than I thought he might.
Yeah, I'll tell you where he had. Well, he only had 2 Bammers in the first round, and that was Ty at 16 and or not in the first round, I guess, like of the top 32 or whatever. And he had Caden Proctor, the 25th
so
best
both
player.
Are quarterbacks. So both are quarterbacks in the top 25.
Both of our quarterbacks. That is very true. First, I didn't get the joke, and then it dawned on me.
Yeah,
it took a second.
Well,
he also
understandably
he had LT Overton, the number 4 ranked defensive end.
A stretch for me based on how he's playing, and I mean that as a pep talk to LT. Pick it up, man. This is it. This is what you're putting on tape for the NFL. And I will once again, for the 1,000th time, a really unpopular rant. Really unpopular. What would LT's career look like had he not graduated from high school early? What if this was his junior year and he had another year? I'm just not a big fan of the reclassification, even as it affects Alabama. And I know everybody's going to go, what about Ryan? What about Ryan? Have y'all heard of an exception to the rule? I mean, it's just an exception to the rule. My rule is I don't think reclassification works for most of these kids, or their careers don't go quite as well as they could have.
Well, another thing to say is like Ryan has tailed off a good bit since the Georgia game. I mean, I guess if you want to say the Vandy game last year, okay, and he's gone from being like a phenom to being a very good wide receiver.
Yeah, he gets questioned. I think some of it's injury. You know, he got the bad concussion against Florida State. That put him out. Now I think it's a calf issue that held him up last week, and I was unaware how bad it was. I knew he dinged it, but I didn't know it would limit him to just playing 20 snaps. And Alabama keeps
as a decoy, essentially.
As Alabama keeps things so on the down low as it relates to injuries, a lot of people didn't even know Ryan was hurt, and were like, boy, how crappy is that? Ryan doesn't even catch a ball. Well, he's playing really hurt in the game and limited him to 20 snaps. So I think some of it's injuries, but I would also agree that some of it's age. Let's remember, this should be his true freshman season. And had we not seen last year, we had only seen this year, and he's a true freshman. You know what I think we'd be saying? Wow. I mean, because
we'd be high on it.
Good.
Well, think about that. Look at it this way. Even though the statistics bear out at Ryan with a huge advantage, how high are we on Lots Brooks right now? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, and like he has statistically, he hasn't wowed anybody, but we know because we've seen when the catches are, and we've seen the extra effort. We know that Brooks is like, he's close to having a breakout moment. And maybe it'll come this weekend because he's going up against a secondary that is susceptible. And if we can get him matched up on some of these linebackers Eric Kane mentioned, he might have a big day. All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We will be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.